Never left the building. A lot of rubbish has been spoken, a lot of lies, and I'm here to put those lies to bed and tell you what really happened. I never left the building. This happened in an anteroom to an office.
Were there heated discussions in that parliamentary building?
Yes, we was discussing Stephen Woolfe. As politicians, we have heated discussions. Everybody does, every politician does. The meeting was called by one of my colleagues of all of the UKIP MEPs, and it was MEPs only meeting to discuss the concerns of Stephen Woolfe, who'd gone into the media and the press saying that he was going to jump ship to the Tories. And I think it was a legitimate meeting to get those concerns over, voice them and bring them out into the open. We've just had a leader that's left after 18 days, and we need a leader now that's going to steady the tiller and take us through to 2020. So it was a legitimate meeting, and we asked everybody to go, and Stephen Woolfe attended that meeting.
And what were those concerns? The
concerns is, did he have discussions with the Tory party? Who instigated those discussions? Was it instigated by him? Was it instigated by the Tories? Just what was happening, and could we trust him as a leader? Is he going to jump ship in the future?
So what conversations took place between you and him ahead of this so-called altercation?
He was asked that question about the Tories by a colleague of mine. He then took the floor and was discussing that, where he turned it over into the last leadership election of why he was unable to stand, citing again that it was the paperwork that he'd put it in, it hadn't been accepted. I then said, no, I'm sorry, you was to blame. You never got your paperwork in. You had 20 days to do it. You never did it. You never got it in, and you're to blame. And we need to stop blaming the party and the NEC. To which he then took exception to that. He then stood up in front of everybody and said across the room to me, well, if it's that way, let's take it outside of the room. Mano, I'm thinking his words were mano el mano. And as he's leaving the room, taking his jacket off to go outside, where I then followed him out into an anteroom.
So you did leave the building with Stephen Woolfe?
Not the building, it's an anteroom to the office that was speaking in.
So you left the office
into a small anteroom.
A smaller office?
Yes.
What then happened? Did you enter the office through the same doors?
No, there's two sets of doors. He went in through one door, I went in through another door. When I walked in, he approached me to attack me.
So you walked in through one door, he walked in through another.
Yeah.
And you're saying that Stephen Woolfe approached you
Yes.
to attack you?
Yes. He came at me, I defended myself. There was no punches thrown, there was no face slapping, there was no digs, there was nothing. It was, as people in Hull would term as, handbags at dawn. A bit of a scuffle. The other door that he'd come through opened up. I, at that point, was not holding him. I didn't push him. He fell back into that room onto an MEP that was stood just inside that room.
You said you defended yourself. How did you do that?
Only by a slight scuffle. There was no, as I'm saying, and I need to get this across, there was no punches thrown whatsoever. There was no physical violence. It was a scuffle between the two of us.
How do you distinguish a scuffle between a fight?
Well, it's not a fight as I would know, as a lad from Hull, a fist fight. It was two people grappling that had hold of each other and was basically still stood up but wrestling. But then I released him, and when the door opened. Okay,
so when he fell back, then what happened? What happened after that?
He fell back into the room. Some of the MEPs helped him up. As I said, he stood straight up. There was no indication of him hitting his head on metal windows or anything else. He fell back onto an MEP. Once he'd stood up, he'd said, all I wanted to do was to go outside to discuss it with him, whereas one of my other colleagues then said, no, I'm sorry, Stephen, you said, let's go outside, mano el mano, and was taking your jacket off at the same time. So that MEP backed me up on what happened.
Mike Hookem, did you throw a punch at Stephen Woolfe?
Categorically not.
So, in your words and in your own thoughts as to the situation. When you went back inside, what happened then? What's the feeling between you both?
He stayed in there for a minute or two. He said, you know, you need to sort this out. If I don't have the support of all the MEPs, I'm not standing as the leader. I'm leaving now, where the other MEP said, no, you have to stay, you have to answer some of these questions, you have to answer, again, as I say, who instigated the meeting with the Tories and you. He said, no, I'm not staying, and he left the room. We then had a discussion again about Stephen, about this Tory thing and about everything, his other conduct, and I left that meeting early. Because at that time I had a serious problem with a member of my staff who was in hospital. I had to pick her up, I had to change my last minute travel plans to get her back into the UK to take her home to her parents. Then I'd left the meeting and I spent the full day getting home at gone midnight last night, travelling home.
So when did you hear that Stephen Woolfe had been admitted to hospital?
I got a text message off one of my colleagues.
What time?
That would have probably have been 3 o'clock in the afternoon, local time for Strasbourg.
And how did you feel when you heard that news?
Well, I was shocked. I was shocked because I didn't know where it come from. Any injuries that Stephen Woolfe had that caused whatever medical problems he's got did not come from me, did not come from my hand. I did not injure him. As I say, and I'll keep saying it, I did not throw a punch at him. I did not cause those injuries. So I was shocked to see what, you know, to hear what had happened to him.
Nigel Farage said this has made the party, the UKIP party, look violent. What would you say to that?
Well, it's been blown out of all proportion because it wasn't it was a, as I say, it was a scuffle. It was a heated debate that got out of hand. It was a scuffle, and the press and the media have blown this all up out of proportion and come up with some outrageous claims at what went on, and people have been commenting on this, that people that wasn't even in the same country was commenting on what went on in that room. The only people that know what went on in that room was me and Stephen and the other MEPs that was in that room.
There have been reports that Stephen emailed you wanting to reach out to the Hand of Friendship. Have you received an email?
I've received that email, I've responded to that and said yes, we will meet.
When did you receive that email?
I received that this morning, probably an hour and a half ago, something like that.
So what do you intend to do when you meet up with Stephen Woolfe?
To clear the air and to sort things out, and you know, maybe shake his hand if he wants to shake my hand.
Do you think this whole affair can be cleared?
Yes, because it's blown up out of all proportion. It's just, you know, what has been said, what has been suggested, what I've been accused of, just didn't happen.
But where does this leave you regarding your position as a Yorkshire and Humber MEP? This will be investigated next week by UKIP.
Yes.
Do you fear this could possibly mean that you could be suspended from the party?
I may be suspended. If I'm suspended, they'll have to suspend Stephen Woolfe as well, because he took part in this. I hope it doesn't come to that, but you know, I will fight my corner. I'm innocent. I did nothing. I never threw a punch, as I keep saying. I never assaulted him. I'll stand my corner, and whatever disciplinary or meetings that they have, I'll stand my corner in there.
For some people who may vote UKIP, it doesn't look good, does it, for the party? I mean, do you think the pair of you should remain as UKIP MEPs?
Yes, absolutely. We are politicians, and every party has politicians that fight their corner vigorously. You know, you cannot go into a meeting with some of these people and be, you know, a wilting lily. You've got to go there and you've got to stand your corner. These things happen, you know. We get vocal debates. This went a step further from that.
Well, this is the thing. This was a physical scuffle, as you said.
But not instigated by me.
So there will be a UKIP investigation, but would you say that your career in politics could now be over?
No, I wouldn't say that, no. As I say, I'm going to stand my corner. I'm innocent. I never did anything. I never threw a punch. And I will not stand and be accused of it.
And what do you hope will happen now then, next week when the investigation begins? What are your hopes now?
Well, let's hope that the investigation comes out, that I get cleared, you know, and we just carry on. I'll shake Stephen's hand if he wants to shake the hand, and let's get on with doing what we do and, you know, take the party through to 2020, to the Westminster elections. It's
good that you're thinking that way. It's positive. But some would argue it's made the party look stupid. I mean, you know, this shouldn't happen, should it?
It shouldn't happen. It's still grown men. That it shouldn't gone to that stage. It shouldn't have happened. It did happen. We've got to get on with it and deal with it.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.